I'm Gab. He's Robbo. That's right. Stewart, Ian, Robson, Juls still on vacation. Understandably, it's a school holiday. The man's got a busy schedule. But hey, it works out fine, Robbo, because you're going to help us do our traditional annual pre-Champions League final tactical breakdown of the game. We're going to talk about that in our main time, but there's so much else going on, of course. Flick confirmed, company confirmed, Enzo Maresca about to be confirmed. Tons going on out there, and even a nasty legal dispute, apparently, reportedly, according to L'Equipe, between Kylian Mbappe and Paris Saint-Germain. 160-odd million in the balance. I guess I'd even hire a lawyer, much as I don't like them, if I felt somebody owed me 160 million. But Robbo, let's get into this. Real Madrid and Barcelona. Just off the top, Barcelona. Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund.
You'd like it to be Barcelona against Real Madrid, wouldn't you?
That might be a better story. On paper, I think there's no question. Real Madrid, overwhelming favorites.
Yep.
Are we missing a trick here? I mean, if you, I'll ask you the percentages at the top, and then maybe I'll ask you again after the tactical preview and see if. But there's a reason that they're overwhelming favourites, yeah?
Yeah, the whole of the season they've been superb in La Liga. They've been very good in the Champions League as well. They've had one or two games. I thought Leipzig, they didn't play particularly well. I didn't think they played that great against Manchester City. They were dominating in terms of possession and they counter-attacked quite well. But over the course of the season, Real Madrid have found a way to win games, but most of the time they've played some great football. They've got a pattern of play that you see week in, week out. They know exactly what the manager wants. When they bring players in, they can just adjust to it quite easily. And whenever I've seen Dortmund, I've been to Germany many times with Derek Ray to do the commentaries on games, Dortmund have been a fairly poor or very average side, I would say, in Bundesliga, and a very average side in the Champions League as well. And they've just performed well on a couple of occasions.
And I think also they've undergone so many iterations this year, right? Especially at the front end, so many different combinations of forwards. Obviously, we expect full crew, Adeyemi and Sancho to start, but Sancho only arrived in January. In the mix, you've had Daniel Malen, you've had Marco Reus, you've had a whole bunch of different players. It's almost like he's tried to put the puzzle together and it hasn't quite worked. And at the back as well, let's not forget, because Hummels and Schlotterbeck, they've essentially rotated with Süle.
Süle's hardly got a look in recent times.
In recent times, no, he's settled on his two. If we were to play the combined 11 game, let's ask you this, put you on the spot. If it was a combined 11, is it out of the likely starting lineups, how many Dortmund players get in?
If I was picking the side, it would be all Real Madrid, I'm afraid.
11-0.
I would say 11-0. There's not one player in the Dortmund side that I think would get into Real Madrid's team.
I have a soft spot for Ian Maatsen, so I might consider that over Ferland Mendy.
Yeah, maybe touch and go. That's about the only one I would say.
Yeah, and if it were cross-country skiing, I'd probably take Rierson over Danny Carvajal. I imagine he's better at it.
Yeah, probably.
In terms of lineups, there's very few doubts. It looks like he's going to play the 11 on the Dortmund side that knocked out Paris Saint-Germain.
And that's been his main team for a little while now.
We say that. That's a team that did well against Paris Saint-Germain, that kind of saw out the season.
The one player that sort of comes in and out is Julian Brandt. He was in for one game, then he comes back in for another, and then he's out for a game, because I don't think he trusts him. He's a good player, but I don't think Terzic trusts him defensively, and he can give the ball away cheaply. But he's also their most exciting player when he's playing well. So he's the one player that you can sometimes feel he might not be picked.
On the other end, Chouameni, he's along, but there's no way he's going to start with a muscular injury, right? It's not something you would risk then coming off. So we think it's going to be Camavinga.
And he was the key player to whether he was going to play centre half, which means Nacho wouldn't have been in the side, or whether he plays central midfield and then Camavinga wouldn't have been in the side. So Chouameni was a key player for them, but he's not going to play, I don't think.
Eder Militao, Courtois we know will be in goal, especially with Lunin apparently having picked up the flu. But we know that because Courtois started like the last 5 games. If we take the last Real Madrid game as an indication of what he's planning for the final, it looks like it's gone Nacho ahead of Eder Militao.
Absolutely. Nacho has to play. Militao hasn't been good. Since he's been back from his injury, he's looked slightly off the pace. He's looked nervy in terms of 1v1 situations. And Nacho has played well.